On the subject of Jamal Khashoggi now, we're joined by our international affairs editor, Robert Parsons. Rob, I'm going to read to you what Donald Trump said a short while ago, speaking to Fox and Friends. He said, "We have investigators over there and we're working with Turkey." Trump claiming that U.S. investigators are already on the scene. Now, one Turkish source quoted by the Turkish news agency Anadolu saying, no, it's not the case, at least not for now. What do we know?
You know, what Donald Trump says and what reality is are often very different things. The Turks seem pretty sure that the Americans aren't involved, but perhaps that's simply because the Turks don't want at this stage to admit that they're getting assistance from the Americans. Whatever the case, there is no doubt that the United States is stepping up the pressure on Saudi Arabia. We've had comments from Donald Trump, not just the ones you refer to, but other ones saying that he wants evidence, that he's concerned. We've had Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, National Security Advisor John Bolton, Jared Kushner, who's got very close relations, senior advisor to Trump, very close relations with the Crown Prince in Saudi Arabia, saying they want firm evidence, from the Saudis that they're not involved. They want the Saudis to come up with it. It's not satisfactory simply to say that the cameras weren't working and that Mr. Khashoggi left after an hour of being in the consulate. That's not going to buy anybody at all. They've got to come up with something much more credible. Washington Post as well today saying that it had seen evidence from the intelligence community in the US, making it clear that the Crown Prince had given the order to try and extradite Mr. Khashoggi from Turkey to Saudi Arabia. Not that he wanted him killed, extradited. But the pressure is certainly building up from the United States and from elsewhere.
Elsewhere, we heard it from Natalia at the Francophonie Summit. The Saudis forced to withdraw that candidacy to join the club with observer status. Also from the UK, where there's some very strong language from the Foreign Secretary. It keeps snowballing.
It keeps snowballing. I think most important of all at this stage is what Turkey itself is saying. And the Turks seem to be playing it very cautiously at the moment. There's been a drip, drip, drip of information. But every time something comes out, the pressure on Saudi Arabia mounts. They seem to be cranking it up little by little, giving the Saudis an opportunity to come up with an excuse, perhaps an explanation, because there's no doubt that Turkey does not want a full-blown crisis with Saudi Arabia. Its trade ties are important, diplomatic ties are important. Certainly the country has differences with the Saudis, but it doesn't want a full-blown crisis. On the other hand, as President Erdogan himself said, this happened on Turkish territory. They can't just wash it away. It happened. They need answers. At the moment, they're not satisfied with the answers they're getting from the Saudis. President Erdogan put it himself. He said that they've got security cameras. I don't believe that they were all switched off. And they're such state-of-the-art security cameras that if a mosquito flew into the consulate, they would know about it. So he's looking for answers. And bit by bit, Turkish officials are putting out what they know. On Middle East Eye, a website, Turkish officials said that they knew at what point Mr. Khashoggi went into the embassy, what he did next, that he went into the Consular General's office, that he was seized in the Consular General's office by two men, and was killed inside the Consular General's office, and then taken to another room where his body was dismembered. They say they have all that evidence. Where from, we don't know at this stage, but the Turks are putting the pressure on the Saudis.
Turks are putting the pressure on the Saudis. And again, it gets back to what you said about the Washington Post quoting those intelligence sources saying that the order came from MBS.
Yeah. I mean, part of the problem, it seems to me here, is that the intelligence services of both the United States and the Turkey clearly have information. But they don't want to reveal where they're getting that information from, whether it's bugs inside the consulate or what. But clearly they have the information, but they don't want to go public on it at this stage, maybe never. But they want to make sure that Saudi Arabia is made to pay for this. They don't want Saudi Arabia or the Crown Prince to feel that he can get away with this completely. But at this stage, the Saudis seem to be brazening it out. They're not admitting to anything. They're insisting that Mr. Khashoggi left the consulate after at the maximum an hour, despite the fact that his fiancée was standing outside waiting for him to come out and says he never did come out. They're hoping that, given time, this will all blow away. The Turks, however, are playing a very slow game, a long game, and they don't seem prepared to let this just go away.
Robert Parsons, many thanks for that update.